this morning. Again, I'm in studio by myself, so if I don't get to answer the calls right away, please bear with me. When you give me a call after the show is over at 10 o'clock, I'll certainly be glad to answer the phone call. But we have a lot going on this morning in the studio. Right now, I want to talk about, because we're coming into the holiday season, and it's supposed to be a joyous time and a cheerful time for everybody, but it's not always the case for everyone. There's a lot that goes on in this world that some of us know and some of us don't know. Um, People have gone through bereavement during this time of the year, and they've also, gone through depression for whatever reason. There are multiple reasons for that, but there's another one of those events that go on during this time of year that people don't talk a lot about. And I wanted to bring the attention to it because it's important to talk about it. Because one, we want to get rid of the stigma from around it, number one. And number two, we wanted to make people aware of it because there may be somebody out there that might possibly be going through it. And what I'm talking about in particular, to be more specific, is domestic violence. Domestic violence, is prevalent throughout society here, and particularly in the United States. And domestic violence doesn't necessarily mean just man on woman. It's also woman on man, believe it or not. So it goes both ways. Now, you don't hear as many cases of where a man is being has been a victim of domestic violence, more so than it's mostly women. But it does happen. And domestic violence is one of those secret, silent things that you don't really know about. You may, you'll see a person and they spend all their time covering it up, thinking that possibly that they may be the issue that is going on, or for fear, or whatever the case may be. And so, it's one of those silent things that go on until it gets to the point where it just comes right out in the open and people see it. And so, with me in studio this morning is Miss LaShonda Dickerson, and Miss LaShonda Dickerson is here to have a conversation with me about domestic violence. So, I'm going to say, first of all, good morning, LaShonda.
Good morning.
And how are you?
I'm good.
That's good. She's in here, got her looking all nice and getting ready to go to the church service. So she's looking real good. And so she's got a pretty smile on her face. But, I want to talk about the serious topic on domestic violence because people don't realize how prevalent it really is throughout society. And there are people who we may know that are actually going through it, but we don't really know that they're going through it. And so that's the reason why I wanted to take the opportunity to bring you in this morning to have this conversation. So, let's start with you. Tell us your story. I mean, about what has taken place with you.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. As he stated, my name is LaShonda Dickerson, and I am a survivor of domestic violence. When I was in my heyday back in the day, when I was a younger lady, I encountered domestic violence actually for over 17 years. Um, in that, there was a lot of struggle. There was a lot of black eyes, big lips, broken ribs, scarred up arms, you name it, I had it. And I also had that with two children. And what I wanted to do was I just wanted to share something with a lot of men and women because, yes, men are victims of domestic violence, as he stated, just as well as women. A lot of times, because we encounter very, very narcissistic people, they blame you for their mishaps. They blame you for every single thing, and they take no responsibility for the damage that they're doing to you. And so, if I could just reach one person and let you know that being battered, letting somebody hitting on you, verbally abusing you, mentally abusing you, it's not okay. I want you to know that sometimes, we think that because the narcissistic person has embarked on our brain, our mindset, and advised us that no one cares about us. But I want you to know that if you have family members, friends that are trying to talk to you about your situation, they actually care. They're not getting your business. They're actually concerned about your welfare. So if I could leave you with something, I remember once when after so many years of domestic violence, I remember this one time when I've called so many police officers so many times, and I really, really, really needed them this time. Because generally, when I call them, they come out, they want to report, I give them report. When it's time to go to court, I won't show up because I'm back in love. Okay. I was back in that honeymoon state, so they say. But if I could leave something with you, it would be this story. I called 911, and no one came out to me this particular time when I called. And I really did need them because by this particular time, I had two children that were in my house asleep, and my house had gotten shot up by my abuser. And I didn't know what to do, and I was scared for my life. But I thank God that some neighbors that I found out later called 911, and a lady actually came out to help me. So, ladies and gentlemen, be careful when you call, when you call the police and you don't carry through, because it's called crying wolf. And so a lot of times they don't want to help you because you're not actually going to do anything about it. Stand your ground and make sure you can take care of you and your children. If you don't have children, make sure you take care of yourself.
Your story is quite compelling because I'm sure there are quite a few people some that we know and some that we don't know, that are going through that. Unfortunately, through that story, where they had the actual physical abuse, where people can see
Right.
that the actual proof of that you're going through that. And but there's a lot of times that you said, that also is a valid point. The verbal abuse. Now that's the stuff that you don't see. That's the stuff
Right.
that goes on behind closed doors.
Right.
And we all know about those famous cases of domestic violence. Tina Turner and
Right.
Ike. You know what I mean?
Right.
This boy, Chris Brown and Rihanna.
Rihanna, yes, absolutely.
So we know about those, but those things that we don't know about people who are involved in our community.
Right.
People who we know that we see each and every day, that we don't know that what they're going through.
Right.
And like I said, we're coming into the holiday season, and their whole outlook on things are not the same like the rest of us, primarily because they're going through such a difficult time,
Right.
with that. And so, you brought up another, again, with the verbal abuse. And that's the profane conversations. That's the insults.
Calling out your name, you're no
calling out your
good.
name,
Nobody
telling
wants you but
right,
me.
breaking your self-esteem. These are things that the abused have to recognize. You got to understand, it's not you. You're
Absolutely.
not the person doing it. You have a person that has some issues,
Right.
in the home.
Absolutely.
And instead of addressing those issues, they take those issues out on the spouse, whoever that is, whether it's man on woman or woman on man.
Right.
And so, again, with your story, knowing that those things go on behind closed doors, those are the things that are really scary. Because, and I've known you for a little bit, and I didn't know that story until you had that conversation with me. That's why I thought it was important for people to know. And so, if you look at LaShonda now, you would say, "Oh wow, she looks great and everything is fine," but you don't really understand all the stuff that took place. So you got to this point,
absolutely,
and a lot of people don't get that
absolutely
when they're going through that.
Absolutely.
I mean, because I'm sure, not that I've ever been a victim of domestic violence or initiated in domestic violence. So I can't say from no experience, but just understanding that when a person is going through that, the emotional state
Absolutely.
that they go through. So, I want to know that because I'm sure there's somebody out there that we know that could possibly go in, and they're showing some signs of it.
Right.
Okay.
And in that emotional state, a lot of times, like me, I would go to church all the time. And I remember one of the mothers at a church in Little Rock, she gave me this cross. And it was a cross and it had John 3:16 on it. And so I wrote to God so much backwards, forwards, filled that cross up and everything. And she gave me that cross because she could tell that there was something wrong with me that I couldn't talk about. Sometimes I went there, I had a little black eye. Of course, I lied about that black eye. I bumped my face on something, and that mother of that church knew what it was. And a lot of times our emotions are so out of whack that we think everybody is against us. And so we don't know who we can trust. As a matter of fact, we don't know who's going to tell that we told the story that's going to go back and tell our abuser because they know everybody and they have manipulated everybody into thinking that it's us, that we're mentally unstable. We have all these problems, that we do all these things. But so who's going to believe you? Who believes that you're actually going through what you're going through? So a lot of times you don't share those things with people. And so, I'm going to share this number, and it's 1-800-899-7233, 1-800-799-7233 throughout this segment here, because I want everyone to know that if you are going through domestic violence and you get that one chance to make a phone call, let that be your phone call because they will get you some help.
And that's important. And again, you just make up. The more I talk to you, the more I find out about how deep that was.
Very deep. I've got a lot of stuff to talk about.
and understanding that, the behavior that, again, it breaks down the self-esteem of the individual being abused. Because the abuser makes it show that person's worth is not great.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so they, it's like anything else. If you keep telling a person this thing over and over again, maybe they start believing it.
Right.
And that's the unfortunate part.
Yeah, it is, because one of the things that is when the person is very like everywhere in the community and everybody knows him and they think they're great. Well, one thing they do is that person that the person that they're abusing, they then tell them if there are children involved. Like for me, the biggest thing he could use was that he was going to take my 2 children. And so whatever he wanted, I obeyed, this, that, and the third. And a lot of times that is a situation because moms are threatened by the fact that they're going to lose their children, and don't let it be a prominent family. I've seen to where, like when I had a shelter, people with their names on signs, the ladies came talked with me, and they were like, I wish there was something I can do, but I can't do anything about it because his mom, his dad, his whatever owns XYZ. So they're not able to actually talk about, other than vent to you. They can't do anything about it because their money is going to be taken from them. How will they live? How will they survive? Not knowing that there are actually people out with benefits, with people out with shelters and everything that can help you get yourself back on track. People said, oh, no, I don't want to put my kid in a shelter. But nowadays they have transitional living apartments. They help you in that transitional living apartment to where you can get your own house. So there are avenues that you can take, to help yourself get help.
Right. And again, another point, they're using the
financial.
Financial, and then the kids, because they know their mothers are nurtured, especially mothers love their children.
Absolutely.
Okay. My mother loved me, your mother loved you, and so you love your kids, I love my son. And so they take advantage of that emotion and they threaten you. Well, I'm going to take your children away from you, or I'm going to do something to your kids if you don't obey this. And so it's just an entire manipulation of a person's emotional state,
Right.
because they and of course there's always somebody who knows you because
Right.
you're either married
Absolutely.
to them, so they learn all this stuff about
Absolutely.
you in the relationship. They
Right.
know what buttons to push,
Right. Right.
and so they come and they push this button and they say, okay, well, you bring up another thing. People who are prominent in society.
Right.
You know, everybody knows who they are.
Right.
Everybody knows the family,
Right.
but they don't know this hidden stuff
Right.
that's going on.
Right.
And so if you step out, everybody's going to say, oh, that's not true. We never heard that before.
Right.
This family is a great family. Or this family does this, and this
Right.
community, or this family does that. But that doesn't negate the fact that this is taking place.
Absolutely.
And so people don't recognize the victims
Absolutely.
of this. They always they recognize the person that's doing the abusing because they cover it up.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you also have, the family members of the abuser who covers it up.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you end up having is just a huge circle of people who's part of, even though they may not be actually doing the actual abusing part, but they are enablers of the abuse.
Absolutely.
So they're just as guilty
Absolutely.
at it as well. And so now you have the poor victim who's there, who feels that they're trapped.
Right. And no one to trust. Who can you
And
trust?
no one to trust, no one to talk to. And it can take a very bad turn, because when people lose hope and there's hopelessness, they turn to things like suicide.
Absolutely.
They turn to things like alcoholism. They turn to things like drug abuse.
Absolutely.
And all that stuff, because they're trying to escape. They want to get out of this situation, and they don't know how to do it because of what's going on in the environment around them. And so that's what makes it so terrible in regards to who the victim is. Because the victim is always that person that is in that situation, going through what they're going through, and yet can't communicate that from fear. Because they're worried about, what may happen, because if the abuser finds out, it could be even more abuse.
Right. That's right.
And so it's just a vicious cycle that the individual goes through, because it just seems like there's no way to escape, but there is.
Yes.
There is. You got to have somebody who you can talk to, you can trust. That's hard to do, unfortunately, these days, because everybody won't tell everybody's business.
Right.
Unfortunately, and they don't. It's not for the right reasons.
Right.
It's for gossip.
Absolutely.
Because they say they know something, and that somebody else don't know. But to have somebody that you can hold on to, and see, that's the thing that I have. When you say a friend is different from an associate.
Absolutely.
Okay, and so if you have an associate, that may not be somebody you want to have that communication with. But if you have a friend, I mean a friend, I'm not talking about the definition that these kids got today. Oh, that's my friend. And as soon as trouble hits, they're gone.
They're gone.
Those aren't friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, your friend is going to be down with you no matter what happens. They're going to go with you through thick and thin.
Absolutely.
The other thing, too, is if you're wrong, they're going to tell you that you're wrong.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
That's it.
And you may not like it, but if they're your real friends, they're going to be honest with you. And so those are real friends. And so to have somebody like that you can go to have that communication with, that you can trust, and that would hold on to that and help you get out of that situation is important.
Absolutely.
And I guess in your plight, as you were going through, I hope that there was somebody there that you were able to do that with.
Actually, I had several people that tried to connect with me. Like I said, that mother of that church that I was going to, I lived in a different area that my parents lived in. And so there were times that my parents came up, but I would, of course, lie about what was going on, because I didn't want people to know that I was getting beat. And my family knew it. I mean, towards the end, there were times that when I had agreed to go under, and I had to involve my parents and live at their place and in the system, because he presented himself as just a great person. when he came in the area looking for myself and my children, and they were in school, a police officer told him where we were. So they endangered everything. So, I mean, yes, you could trust people, but it was rough. It was rough because, like I said, I had friends that thought like maybe it's not as bad as she thinks, you know what I'm saying? So even to date, people have came back and said, Sean, I'm so sorry. I didn't know it was that bad. You know, and I've been near death several times, broken ribs. Right now, I still have a broken rib, you know, that can't mend, you know. So, I mean, but trust. Yes. Do you need somebody to trust? Yes. Is it rough out there to find somebody to trust?
Yes.
Yes. Especially when your life is in danger and you have children. If your life is in danger and you don't have children. Because the thing about it is that once the abuser finds out that there's nothing else that they can do, a lot of times they take you out and him out.
Right.
I remember one of the things that they showed me after I called and I wouldn't go state evidence against him. They showed me a film of something that happened on Asher and University of a woman that was in a relationship. She put the abuser in jail. So he did his time and he was the parent of one of her children. So she started dating because they were no longer together. And so they didn't, the divine people, whomever didn't advise her or whatever was going on. So long story short, the guy came out, he wanted to see his child. Law says that he can see his child. So she let him see his child. He wanted to talk to her. She didn't want to talk to him. That next week, he killed her and the kids and himself. And they said, do you want that to be you? And I said, no. You know, so that was kind of like a wake-up call for me that I needed to trust somebody in some capacity because if not, that could possibly be myself and my children.
All right. Let's take a quick break and then we shall return.